Radiant team ban.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an AOC Pro Cup presentation of Arrow Gaming versus Everlast.Gamefilling, a best-of-3 series between teams in the second round of the upper bracket. This is day 3 of the AOC Pro Cup, and I am Blaze of Dota Talk. Happy to be able to bring you guys this game alongside Congo Kyle. What's going on, man?
Oh, nothing much. Nice little break. Hope you managed to get a little bit of a nap in?
Yeah, exactly that. I was a little bit fried from the last one, so I'm hoping my camera work will be a little bit better this time around.
Well, like I said, I can't imagine waking up at 6 in the morning to cast. Luckily, I'm in South Africa. I'm pretty central, so like most of the games I cast Southeast Asia are like midday, and the others are sort of in the evening, late in the evening. But that doesn't mean my sleeping pattern isn't screwed up. And I actually also just woke up right before that game. But anyway, that's not relevant. What is relevant here is Everlast versus Arrow. We saw Everlast cause I would call it an upset on the weekend up against Zephyr, the team, the North American Korean team. Yeah, I mean that was a bit of an upset. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a hope here that they can maybe upset the titans that are Arrow Gaming, who have I checked some of I looked over some of their matches on their profile on Liquipedia as well as Join Dota, and they are relatively unbeaten this far in most of the Southeast Asian tournaments that they've taken part in, and it gives me a lot of hope that they are going to be strong contenders for the sort of Malaysian, Southeast Asian qualifiers for the TIs we spoke about the other day when we got to cast one of their games. And as I mentioned before, a little bit of fanboyism. They're slowly becoming one of my favorite Southeast Asian teams, and I'm hoping that they can hold on to their dominance and not make quick of this game, but at least give us a great series up against Everlast.
Yeah, this should be one to really just put in the books. This is one to remember because Everlast is one of those teams that loves to fight very actively, and Arrow Gaming is one team that responds to certain situations very appropriately. So I'm really curious to see how these two teams clash. Everlast is certainly the best team that I've seen originate from Thai borders. By and large, just impressing me with their last matchup. Some great combos, some great team fights, and in general just a really cool playstyle that when it really gets down to it is very effective in the full 5-on-5. Now Arrow Gaming can go for maybe some pick-off playstyle, maybe just go for some lane domination. We'll see exactly how well they're going to do, because their first match, if I recall correctly, Arrow went 2-0. They were very easy matches, just kind of steamrolled, but I really do feel like this is going to be much more closer in contention, so it should be a very interesting back and forth. But getting down to nuts and bolts, looking at the draft, we do see initially Arrow Gaming banned out the Nyx Assassin and Doom and picked up the Visage and Storm. Everlast banned out the Invoker and Enchantress, picking up the Ancient Apparition and Sand King for that hardcore magical AoE wombo. But Bristleback and Batrider were taken off the board. Now Rubik selected by Arrow. Slurk and Lifestealer were the bans out by Everlast, opening them up for the puck. So, yeah, really hard focus on AoE magical damage and AoE lockdown for Everlast. And then in turn, Arrow Gaming are really just kind of getting the foundation of their lane set up. With the Visage Rubik combo, they're going to be able to do so much damage in just a quick burst with any good carry, really. I mean, they could go to Luna, and that could be really powerful if she gets a BKB early, or maybe even something like the Lifestealer. Oh wait, no, that was banned out. My apologies. But yeah, there's still plenty of options there. And then, of course, we're going to be looking at DDZ mid on his Storm Spirit, and that's going to be looking pretty good for them. Actually, not so certain now, unless they want to run the DK as a carry.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what they're going to run in the mid now. DK up against Puck is actually a really great matchup. Stormspirit on the other hand could have a bit of problems depending on how that lane goes for the Puck. Puck, if he manages to get a couple of levels on the Stormspirit, you could pick him off pretty early. Maybe a couple of rotations here from Ancient Apparition and Sand King. They pick up the Alchemist though, which makes me a little bit concerned as their early rotations won't be that much of a priority. Instead, sitting in the lane and securing it for the Alchemist. What they do have is the Ancient Apparition, which is becoming slowly one of the more popular supports with that Chilling Touch just becoming so popular. It's so strong for that early game. I mean, if you're running into jungle to get a ward down and you see an Ancient Apparition, you run for your life because you know he's going to get a Chilling Touch down. You know there's going to be a couple of chained up stuns and a very quick kill. With the Ancient Apparition and the Sand King down in the bottom lane, down in the safe lane, sorry, the top for the Dire. Sorry, the bottom for the Radiants. They're gonna have a great time. Alchemist will be farming up fine. They can look for a couple of early kills as well with that Sand King. If he's able to work with that really small radius of Impale and set up a couple of quick quick stuns and followed up with Alchemist, Unstable Concoction. You know, Nighttime Vision doesn't become much of a problem when you have an Alchemist who's sitting in lane and carrying and just trying to get a couple of stuns off here and there for a pick-off. But on the other end, Storm Spirit versus Puck, it's, in my opinion, it's a relatively, in terms of matched up skill, between DDZ as well as, who plays mid again? Is it BSR? Plays mid for, if I remember correctly, BSR. I know Solitic plays off lane.
Solitic plays off lane, so that's BSR.
Yeah, it's BSR mid. Yeah, so it's, you know, DDZ is on form at the moment. I'll say that with full confidence that if he is going to take that Storm Spirit up in the middle lane, you know, it's gonna be a really tight matchup for BSR. But then again, Dragonite does allow BSR to get a couple of last hits with that Puck and maybe harass the DK out. And when he gets at level 6, he won't be able to kill the DK. But if we're putting the Storm Spirit in the safe lane, or if he's farming, if they're going to go aggressive with the Visage and Rubik, which they 100% can, we're looking at Puck maybe being able to pick up the Storm Spirit if he is maybe zoned out of the lane. Once he gets at level 6, once he maxes up that silence, and you know, we could see him actually maxing out Orb if he's up against the Dragonite, just using that Orb as sort of creep clear to hold equilibrium and you know, to head off and pick up the runes over the DK, since DK does rely a lot on bottle crowing, picking up runes. They do pick up the Lone Druid, however, so I'm looking at a safe lane farming or an aggressive lane Dragonite, maybe a Lone Druid in the safe lane. But you know, I'm always a bit 50-50 when a Lone Druid is picked up. I always say it needs to be put onto a competent player, or it needs to be in a lineup where they're able to sort of utilize its full potential. And if it is going to be Lance taking up that Lone Druid, putting it into the safe lane, allowing BSG to play the Dragonite in sort of the aggressive trial lane, then I think Arrow Gaming are going to have a pretty fantastic time.
Yeah, I think this is actually a really solid lineup for them. It's kind of a more standard draft for them. Lance going the Lone Druid, he always finds its Radiance timing appropriate, and it's one of those heroes that has a very large amount of HP to deal with. So if you're worried about getting nuked down hardcore, the Ancient Apparition, Ice Blast being put into the threshold range for a Shatter, heroes that have high base HP like Dragonite and Lone Druid once he has his ultimate are great ones to deal with that, and so they're going to be able to persist through the fights. If DK gets a BKB a good time, then in general they're not going to have too much to worry about, and I think they're going to feel pretty good about this matchup overall. So the one thing that makes it a little awkward is their lanes. We're probably going to be seeing maybe a Dragonite in the aggressive tri lane, which is not very commonly seen, but I could see it working under the right circumstances. Good communication, good timing. But Everlast going to throw a wrench in the works with this Ursa pick. This is not at all what we saw coming, and now we're going to have to see maybe like a Puck go 1v1 on the top lane, Ursa mid. I'm not too sure. We'll have to see, but we are certainly going to be seeing MyPro, aka Superfly, for those who checked the match out against Zephyr. And yeah, he's probably going to be running the Farming Alchemist and have no key and TNT running support, Sanking, and AA. So mid Ursa, so pretty clutch.
Yeah, I mean, the Ursa last pickup is pretty interesting, and it looks like it's going to be. Yeah, I thought there might be a swap coming out since DDZ did pick up that Dragonite. So Ursa up against Dragonite, it's a lane that Dragonite can definitely do a lot better in. He does have the Fire Breath to farm a bit better. Ursa, on the other hand, if he does manage to get a rotation coming out from Noki and TNT on the support, that lane can go very, very wrong very quickly for the DK. And you know, looking at, well, we get a little bit of a pause so we can chat about it quick. Yeah. On the other hand, I mean, they are going to have a safe farming Storm Spirit, which allows BSG in that offlane. If he can handle that offlane by himself, I mean, he's not going to get a lot of farm. But what we will get here is a lot of rotation from the supports, from the Visage, from the Rubik. Like my only concern here is they're not going to have a lot of burst in their lane to sort of secure a kill with the telekinesis Soul Assumption. Then yeah, so that it's a little bit strange, but it looks like we might see BSG heading towards. No, it's going to be a middle Dragonite. So I don't know. It's really strange drop from Arrow, but I think they'll give us a chance to quickly go over the play. Hey, we have a stats man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I tried to mention that, but I'd like to welcome to the broadcast Captain Kirk. He's going to be doing some stats for us for this best of 3, and happy to have him on and give us a little bit more insight into the behind the scenes, the numbers crunching of this matchup here. So. This is actually pretty non-traditional for Arrow, running Lance as the Storm Spirit and BSG as the Lone Druid. I was actually expecting them to do maybe some swap action, because they sometimes do that for a little bit of mind game activity. But it does in fact look like Lance is going to be running on that Storm, picking up some early intelligence items and just trying to, I guess, ball out of control to some extent. He wants to be mobile, he wants to be active, and he knows that if he goes in like the mid lane, then he's going to be pinned down pretty hard when Puck starts rotating with that silence. So he's going to be safer here on the, of course, safe lane. Supported currently, though, of course, Xiangzai and Mosin have plenty of room to roam. And we'll be seeing, of course, as you mentioned, DDZ in the mid. But for formal introductions to start things off, looking over at Everlast, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the AOC Pro Cup. This is, again, the round 2 of the upper bracket in day 3 of the tournament. We are going to be seeing Solotic going off-lane Puck, starting off with the Boots of Speed. We're going to be looking over at, right now mid, moving towards the bottom lane. Noki is going to be running on that Sand King, pulling up 2 tangos, and really just going for bare bones items to start themselves off. This is going to leave my pro to run on the mid lane with those 2 tangos in question to get that bottle up really, really early on and go toe-to-toe with DDZ in the mid. This leaves Bunksel Roti to farm up on the safe lane as the Ursa, and looks like the Lone Druid's pulling some shenanigans, which may thwart their farm potential a little bit, but either way, he'll be finding maybe an early Vladimir's to go for some Roche control. Finally, since I already mentioned Solotic, looking over at TNT, the Ancient Apparition, standard support items with early point in Chilling Touch.
Yeah, and over on the side of Arrow, we've got PSG in the middle lane, Lone Druid, as you mentioned, putting a couple of shenanigans, trying to reset the equilibrium underneath the tower, maybe secure a little bit of safe farm. On the Storm Spirit, we've got Lance in the top lane, and he should have a relatively good time here last hitting. We'll talk about that in a moment. We have Xiangzai on the Rubik doing a little bit of zoning out here on the Puck. He's actually taken a lot of damage here, down to half HP. Sorry, on the Rubik, harassing the Puck, my bad. Mosin, of course, on that Visage, and then finally in the mid, as mentioned, DDZ. What is great here for for the Storm Spirit is he can actually go a couple of levels in. He's going to go for 1 level in the overload. So Puck, it's still going to be the matchup of the Puck versus the Storm Spirit. But in this case, Puck is going to be a little bit less important.
Hey man, I'm just going to stop you there. You're actually cutting out quite a bit. Like, it was a little bit at first, but it's getting worse and worse. So down bottom lane, we are going to see the first blood come out. Hawaii onto the Ancient Apparition, so he does get something for himself, but he just resummoned that bear. And that is quite unfortunate for him that he's no longer going to have that bear in the lane. I would say he should just turn over to the jungle, but honestly, that's not even a good option without that Spirit Bear. So he'll try to get in a position to leech experience from the lane, but as far as accomplishing much more on it, he's going to have to wait for just a couple minutes here. But, yeah. Okay,
it seems better now, yeah. We're having some serious internet issues here at the house, so there's something wrong with the LAN, and it just jumps to 4K randomly. But yeah, as I was saying, Puck, this matchup here definitely favors the Storm Spirit, as Rubik and Visage are going to zone out the Puck and allow him to get a lot of levels and a lot of safe farm here in the top lane. But yeah, wow.
Yeah. So
first Storm Spirit ever. Fantastic.
So probably scrimmed it quite a bit, a little bit of practice there, but as far as what we have allocated from the parsed replays, we don't have a single recorded competitive game for him on that hero. So I'm curious to see how he plays it. I actually, I was looking at that and I was thinking, okay, well, I know his Lone Druid very well, but the Storm Spirit is a whole new bag of tricks that I really haven't seen from him, and I'm curious to see how effectively he can manage his mana once he gets some really good farm on him.
It's actually now think about it, might be a kill here and a Puck gonna jump away. It's actually a hero that really suits him if you think about it. I mean, if you look at his playstyle, he's extremely he plays, well, depending on what hero he plays very aggressively, and he generally likes to make things happen as a carry, as we saw in most of the games we cast. So this hero fits his playstyle perfectly. I mean, he's got the jump at level 6, and yeah, so he's going to definitely start making things happen once he gets that up, and I fear Puck's going to feel the brunt of it. Sitting at level 2 in the off lane as opposed to the Lone Druid, who's actually at level 3, but he does have a kill under his belt, and he hasn't actually spawned that bear up. I'm assuming during my massive lag that he was the one who dropped down first blood.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. There was a bit of an exchange. The bear was kited into the tree line. They were trying to kill it off. He barely got the resummon off as it wasn't taking any hero damage. And then once they just kind of went blow for blow, TNT ended up feeding the first blood away to the Spirit Bear, but they did kill him shortly after that resummon. So he's been kind of biding his time. And although the first blood is great for an offlaner versus a support, the fact that he has done absolutely nothing since then is quite detrimental. Now we're going to see some smoke movement. Naki and TNT going to make something happen either on the mid or down bottom, ganking up on Hawaii. If they time it appropriately, where he just again resummons the bear and they can kill him a second time, that's huge. That is just absolutely immense.
Yeah, and that at the same time, I mean, Puck in the top lanes, and I think he might just go down. We don't have a telekinesis, we do have a Fable at level 2, we do have a nuke level 2, so, and he doesn't actually load on mana, so he's definitely going to go down here.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Almost getting away. But yeah, if they do manage to pick up the bear here, I think it'll be pretty important for them. I mean, he oh, they should wait 2 seconds.
Oh man, if they had waited 3 seconds, he would actually probably have resummoned it. But kill's a kill. They're going to give it to Ursa, and he's going to get some nice early farm here. Man, if they had waited 10 seconds more, that would have been the game-defining kill. Like, that would have taken the Lone Druid completely off the map. But even so, he's a little perturbed that he's getting dived this hard, and he'll have to think about where he's going to go next. It looks like it is going to be the jungle. I don't know. He does head bottom again, but going to be cautious once more. MyPro getting a little aggressive with this stun, but I guess he does have a few more seconds left of the Chemical Rage to top himself back off.
The as well, I mean, talking about Ursus being shut down, I don't know if one of the games I casted in one of the finals of South African competitions, when you could still, Ruby could still telekinesis people. He put the bear up on the cliff at level 1, and the bear couldn't move, and the resummon, it's so long at level 1, it was literally as it was summoned. And so yeah, talking about Lone Druid's getting shut down, I think, yeah, I mean, looking at BSG, I think he's more than capable of bringing this one back. Obviously, Lone Druid, we've spoken about how sort of volatile that hero is when it comes to specific lineups, and how it sometimes does not work out at all and ends up being pretty useless. I fear that I don't think this will be one of those games, since Arrow, you know, they will be able to put it back, and they've got the heroes to make space. They've got the Storm Spirit, who is great at creating space, great at picking up those fast kills. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see if we do see him head off to the jungle in a bit and just try to catch up some of his farm. I don't think Radiant. I think Radiant is completely out of the question now. I think we might see him go something along the lines of a Maelstrom, or into just Phase Boots Maelstrom or Phase Boots Basher, something along those lines, just for the bear, because at the moment he's getting absolutely nothing. He could go for more even teamfight potential if they are going to look for quick pickoffs and quick towers. He could go for something like a Vlad's. On his hero, you know, there are a couple of options, but as I mentioned, there will be a bit of space created as soon as Lance gets that level 6.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different ways he can go for it. One big thing I think he needs is just a casual cloak to survive through all the Sand King Puck and Ancient Apparition nukes, and that'll help out a lot since he gets a lot of base HP through his true form. After that, maybe just go, like you said, for something like a Basher. Even with the slow attack speed of the bear, it's unfortunate, but you'll usually get at least 1 or 2 Bash procs on a hero in the middle of a fight, and that's so important against Ursa, because he's going to have a BKB at a pretty good time this game, and they're going to have absolutely nothing they can do against him during that time period other than the Entangle. So they do need a Basher, and we'll just have to see if he can support it with any attack speed increasing items, or if it's going to have to be kind of bare bones. But one thing I want to ask you about is, what do you think about Everlast's early game Roche potential? Usually you look at a Dire Ursa and you're like, hell yeah, he can do it all the time because of the Dire advantage and the fact that he can smoke in. He's almost to his Vladimir's, and they do almost have Sand King up to level 6. Ancient Apparition is still a little while off, but after this fight, let's talk about that. We do see dropping down very quickly as the Puck wasn't able to get out of there whatsoever. Lance going to get stunned up by MyPro, though, and that's going to be a double for him, so pretty solid rotation to turn things around. They will be able to pick up both Storm and Visage at the loss of the Puck, and I think Puck's kind of resigned himself to just a position where he's going to be not nearly as farmed as most Pucks usually are. He is definitely a number 3, if not a number 4 at this stage, and although he does want that Blink Dagger at a good time, it's just kind of how the game is going. They do get the deny on the tower, they get 2 kills, so the net gain for Everlast is quite impressive.
And also as well, as you mentioned, free farming. Now, talking about the Roshan, they will have to get a pick-off. They'll have to get a pick-off and secure a lot of position around the Roche pit, because there is a Storm Spirit on the opposition team, or bottom lane.
Yeah, they were actually able to pick up Ancient Apparition there. Very nicely done. Didn't need an Entangle to bring him down. Just good movement from Lance, and he already has a hell of a lot of damage. Just looking at his items, the Oblivion Staff and the Robe of the Magi, plenty of mana to play around with, and he's certainly putting it to good use. And
level 6 now on DDZ as well, so it could be a little bit of pressure onto the towers, but Ursa could be in a little bit of trouble here. Oh, just ended, so he'll be able to walk away from this. Yeah, Roche potential in terms of the Radiant, they'll have to get quite a big pick-off here and try.
Big fight bottom lane, about to break out. Earth Shock will hit on the bear. This should be enough to bring him down. He's so slow right now, only brown boots, and he will be hit by the Cold Feet. Guaranteed kill now, and it looks like MyPro will claim that one there. So
yeah,
he's going for a pretty interesting build-up himself. Smoke, bottle, phase boots. He wants to be active ganking and maybe move towards an early blink dagger to start those fights off the right way.
Radiant's middle tower is
I think talk about the BKB. At looking at the lead that this Ursa does have, I mean, it's really great. Vlad's up. You can look to maybe going for Roshan. I would look, I mean, it's 9 minutes in the game. I would look to at about a 14-minute Shadow Blade and then to BKB, just because how...
Big stun gonna come in. Xiangzai, low armor, he's dead by the time the stun hits. Stormstorm will get the pull-off onto Sand here, but I think he can Sandstorm away. Breathe Fire will rob him down 2 HP! 2 HP, but he will get away. However, the Alchemist not so fortunate. There's plenty of nukes coming out, and Lance will also survive, so
and
they do...
he's gonna have a Orchid like now.
Yeah, just about. Really just rush that out with the brown boots, and he's doing great right now. 3-1-1, of course 52 CS, and about to get a tower. Yeah, that's Orchid on the deck at 10 minutes. Amazing farm from Lance, but to be expected at this stage.
Yeah, like I said, you can. Yeah, he's insane. I mean, he's so effective, and he plays such an aggressive carry. But I mean, he always backs it up, and he's always knows exactly what to do. His positioning is always fantastic. So this is a hero for him, and I won't be surprised if you say this is the Statsman says this is one of his first games as a Storm Spirit. I don't think it'll be the last. And at the same time, yeah, as I was mentioning, the Ursa. He could go for the BKB, but he can actually go down here. Wow.
Oh, that's it. Amplification of damage from the Orchid doing quite a bit of work. I don't think he's going to finish him himself, but he's going to try for it. But Burrow Strike turned around. That's a pretty big death. The Sand King will claim his life, and also almost setting up my pro for a follow-up stone on the Rubik, but just out of range. He'll back up, but Ursa has to be careful. Luckily, no real range of initiation against him at this stage, but still running pretty low on life. We'll have to get it back in the jungle via Vladimir's offering.
And yeah, DDZ's rotated down again. He doesn't have his Ultra Dragon form just yet, but I'm sure they're going to hang around here long enough so he can put a bit more damage onto that tower. They took down the mid as expected with that Dragon form, immediately jumping and bringing it down. But now with the Lone Druid Bear, and has got phase boots as well. So like I said, space created for BSG. He's managed to pick up at least one important item on his Bear, and he has got that Entangle now as well with a level 6 Lone Druid. But I think Everlast, they're going to deal with this. They're going to hang back. We still don't have... Oh, look at Noki. He hasn't picked up a level in the epicenter.
Oh, wow. Going to go in here. Big Ice Blast will come out after the stun, and they will hit on DDZ, but I don't know if it's enough. He's just so big right now. When Ogre Club, Power Treads, Racer, he's got so much strength. And he just shrugs off 3 big spellcasts on him, as he has been maxing his Dragon's Blood pretty hard. Now we see Pug jumping in. He does get the coil off, but immediately gets destroyed after the fact. Nice stun coming out from Xiangzai, but counteracted by Naki. But they are going to get the Dragon Tail on BSR. He's already gone, and MyPro is taking a lot of hits here. A big soul assumption and the kill, trading his life for the Visage. And that is going to be a favorable exchange for Arrow once again. 3 for 2. As they are just gaining traction here. And the fortunate thing is Lone Druid didn't even have to participate. He's able to farm up and try to make up for that lowered experience per minute and gold per minute that we've been seeing towards the early stages of the game. And as a whole, they're just gaining advantages left and right.
Yeah, I mean, it's 12-minute mark. They're sitting about 2,000 ahead in gold, and this experience is relatively evened out since the supports really are relatively the same level at the moment. They're being a little bit rotating, all supports at level 6. I guess the Puck is probably the only downside at the moment for Everlast, not really having any effectiveness. And he's got 1,000 gold, so he's trying to rush that Blink Dagger. He got a Dream Call down there, was on the Rubik unfortunately, and Rubik was able to turn around and get a Burrow Strike off on him. And Rubik did drop down, but they managed to get the kill on the Puck once again.
Yeah,
Puck is not having a great game. 0 for 3, and yeah, level 6. It's really unfortunate for Puck. He had to max out that illusionary orb as well to try and get a little bit of farm in the top lane. So he doesn't have those levels of silence that he needs to take on the Storm Spirit. The Storm Spirit just silences him and wrecks him in the middle of a team fight. So yeah, Lance at the moment is just farming out of control. I mean, CS dropped quite a bit since he's been rotating, but he has picked up 4 kills in the last few seconds. He did die, the last few minutes. Sorry, he did die. Twice, but yeah, it's going fantastic for them. And DDZ on the other hand, as you mentioned, just so tanky. It's going to pick up a BKB at a relatively good time.
Yeah. Actually, didn't catch that movement down bottom. It was a successful movement from Slodic and Naki. They were able to catch Rubik out, but this is a support Rubik. He's found his level 7. He's got pretty much everything he needs, and it's just giving a little bit of gold to move Sand King towards that Blink, and Puck as well, I suppose. So that's unfortunate that they are going to be having to deal with a Blink Sand King very shortly, but it's also not the end of the world. They still feel pretty confident about this state of the game, a 2,000 gold advantage, and drawing even relatively with this experience. But yeah, I want to talk about skill builds a little bit before we get into anything else. It's pretty interesting. Naki going for 4-4-0-0. I guess just realizing that with the Storm Spirit on the field, now with an Orchid, but even with just Electric Vortex, it's very difficult to get a unblinked epicenter off in an engagement like that. Like, it's so difficult because Storm just zips right on top of you. Later on, he'll be able to cancel Blink Dagger with the ball lightning damage, but for right now, just able to stun or Orchid, anything he needs to stop that ulti. So Naki realizes it's not as relevant, just goes for the big AoE damage to farm the jungle and do some good throughput in the fights. But also this build up on the Dragonite, so tanky with the maxed out Dragon's Blood over his Dragon Tail, and the fact that he has gotten nothing but tank items essentially. This guy is almost impossible to bring down. So although you really do want to throw your Unstable Concoction at him to take him out of the fight for a few seconds, it does almost nothing to him as far as damage output goes, and it's just, yeah, so brutal. But now we see Lance at a bad spot. He will be finished off. A good silence coming in from the puck to lock him in place after that stun. And yeah, they are going to have, although committing a few ultis to it, bring him down. So that's a very swell kill as they look to take the tier 1 tower.
And puck is also getting really close to that Blink Dagger, about 60 gold off it now. So 1 or 2 last hits. I should probably let him get the last hits here since he does have Dream Call. No, it doesn't have Dream Call. It's actually on cooldown. He just used it, sorry, to kill the Storm Spirit. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's things going okay for Everlast now. As you mentioned, they are buying a little bit in gold, about 2,000, but that's not massive for this part of the game. They are hitting kills, and I don't know, BSR has kind of slowed down a bit. I'm still interested to see what he's going to go for. There is still obviously the chance of a Blink Dagger if he wants to maybe get to the back and maybe try to pick up one of the supports. If he catches Lone Druid out of his Druid form and gets in the back with a big overpower and Enrage, he's going to bring him down so quickly before the bear can even get an entangle off in that very close proximity, and the big slow coming out as well from his Earthshock, sorry, which he has put up to rank 2 at the moment. So he's actually doing a lot of damage. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be a Blink Dagger. And then if you look at the mobility on the side of Everlast, that'll be the 3rd Blink Dagger for them. And yeah, so they're going to be able to jump on quickly and grab off a hero.
Yeah, I was going to say that maybe my pro could go for that Blink Dagger, but realizing that he's already got 2 great initiators, counter-initiating the Sand King and one to start the fight in Solodic's Puck, they're actually able to just farm him up a mechanism, which, as I talked about the previous match, just gives him that extra opportunity to actually make full use of the Chemical Rage, that extra HP buffer to keep him above threshold and try to keep him in the fight. But he's not going to have that for about 900 more gold, and we're going to see the fight break out much sooner than that. Dropping down the Ancient Apparition immediately, Naki will go in for the epicenter, but with no blink, he's just going to do some damage to a BKB Dragonite, which just nullifies it. Now dropping down Sand King easily is Lance on his Storm Spirit, delivering so much damage and zipping out like nothing ever happened. He gets a double kill. Ancient Apparition's Ice Blast hits on nothing relevant, and Arrow just tore them apart and are going to go for this tier 1. I think even AA bobbed back for that. It's just, it's brutal.
Yeah, but at the same time, Lone Druid farming up the top lane. He's got 2,600 gold, so he could still go for that Radiance if they are going to push it really to the late game. I mean, his timing will be a little bit slow, but he'll still get it. But in the top lane now, we have got TNT sitting right behind the tree line there. Ursa, on the other hand, has picked up that Blink Dagger, so I don't know, that was a terrible teamfight for them. They got the ward behind the tower before any of Everlast saw it, so they knew exactly where they were, catching out the Ancient Apparition. I don't really understand why the Sand King didn't blink in. I watched him the whole time. His blink wasn't disrupted. He had it. I think he just decided to walk on in because the ultimate was down from the puck. They thought maybe if I just walk in, they won't be able to run away and I'll be able to catch all of them. But if he had blinked to the back, he could have maybe picked off the maybe did a little bit of damage to the Visage. So yeah, that was a bit. That was a bit strange, sort of strange engagement, and also the buyback on the Ancient Apparition. I'm not sure if I agree with that. He could have maybe bought back if they'd taken a lot of damage and then turned out his ulti, but he just kind of bought back and threw his ulti and hit just the familiars. So
yeah. The one thing they really weren't ready for was the fact that Dragonite has already farmed up this BKB. He just essentially, like I said, rushed tank items, including that Ogre Club, and finished off his BKB at a very good timing. Was able to completely nullify the epicenter, stun the Sand King so he couldn't put it on anybody else, and essentially all it was a slowing debuff for somebody who was just going to stand and deliver. Oh, Solita canceling a TP. They look like they want to go on DDC, but we have some rotations. The cavalry will arrive if they overstay their welcome, but it looks like Solitic is going to go for a Blink Orb and jaunt away, so he will just barely sneak on out of there. Sand King having to TP away. So all in all, no harm done, but it's an awkward position because you'd expect Everlast with this kind of a lineup to be winning right now before Storm Spirit picks up his BKB, but Lance was just in a good position and just delivered purely offensive ability usage and was able to walk away with no mana but half health. And yeah, it's kind of like they're shrugging off what response Everlast has with a great initiation. Xiangzai, with that Burrow Strike, was able to take Ancient Apparition completely out of the fight, and from there, it was purely just guns locked and loaded, diving underneath the tower. So Everlast, they really have their work cut out for them because I feel, other than the Ursa, they don't really have much going for them towards the mid game.
Like I said, Ursa in team fights, he wasn't involved in that bottom team fight, but you know he will be able to jump out to the back and maybe get a kill off on the maybe get a kill off one of the supports position in particular. Maybe if he catches out the lone druid in his normal form, which will be very rare in team fights, but there's that odd occasion where you think, okay, I'm just stand at the back and right click, my team's got this, they can tank for me, and all of a sudden, boom, Ursa's next to you, and he Earth shocks you and just wrecks you with a couple of overpower hits. So, you know, it's going to be difficult for them as they move into the next couple of team fights, but they just, I mean, that team fight was just them getting caught up by that ward behind the tower. I mean, I felt if they were in a better position and they managed to get all their spells off, I think that fight would have gone much better for them. I think Ursa decided not to rotate in the end because he felt that, okay, the team fight's gone, BKB on the DK. DK is going to be a massive problem. I mean, he now has a Shadow Blade as well, so that spells a lot of problems too for the for BSR on the Ursa. If he's sitting at the back waiting for them to engage, he can get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's just right now. DDZ coming in with the Shadow Blade will go for the stun here on Naki. Look at that damage with just the first right click, and he's already dead. This is really, really bad if they don't see this kind of stuff coming. DDZ is moving rapidly towards this level 16. That big blue dragon is just a quick ancient stack away, essentially. But they're actually looking at Roche right now. Checking it out, no Roshan kills so far, and yeah, they're going to look to take it, denying Ursa any chance to pick it up for himself, which is just a complete, a very big problem when you consider that's the primary use of the hero, is to get a huge advantage through those Roche kills. Instead, all he can do is farm Ancients, which are warded up right now. Ice Blast will come in, but they mech'd up, I think, just before the debuff hit, and they are going to be able to bring down this Roche one way or another, but here comes, without sanking, I think they're going to try for it. But DDZ on the front line here gets the stun out. Gonna go on Alchemist hardcore, not even getting the mechanism. No, he does mech up, but BSR still dropping extremely low. Magic Wand running away, but Lance is on the chase. Now coming in, Naki, great Epi Burrow, coming through a huge amount of damage, but they don't have any follow-up. They already lost 3 of their heroes. Puck and Alchemist are in no fighting shape, and now they just finished what they started, going into Roche, which only has 3,600 HP remaining.
Yeah, and Radiant's almost up on the bear as well. He should have it after. Oh, Roshan.
Oh, he did go for it. Wow.
Yeah. I thought he might. I mean, like I said, they were creating a lot of space for him, and he wasn't actually even needed in teamfights. They had so much power with the DK and the Stormstorm being able to pick off the important supports at the back. Like it was really not important for him to be there. If they were in a little bit of trouble with the Storm Spirit, didn't get a good start, and he didn't have the items that he had at that moment, you might have seen him going for more sort of early game items, like I mentioned, the Maelstrom, the Basher, the Lads, just to help out with a little bit of team fight. But in this case, yeah, they were doing fine, 4v5. I mean, they were Milan's playing out of his mind, so they're not really that important for him to come join the team fights just yet. And with that Radiance up, he'll be able to push the lanes by himself. And yeah, maybe probably stop played.
Yeah, he's going to try to go for it here. I'm not sure if he can do enough. There's certainly reinforcements coming, but a couple of right clicks, I think he's going to finish them. Yeah, that is going to be a resummon death for BSG. A very poor usage of that summon Spirit Bear, but question is whether or not he can get out, and I don't think so. Lance is seasoned with the familiar, going to come in, so go for the stun, follow with the Orchid, and he's already gone. Concoction is going to charge if necessary from Xiangzai. Now the mechanism forces it, but they get the kill. It is going to be a 1-for-1. The only real problem with that is, of course, the Lone Druid won't be able to finish up his Radiance because he doesn't have anything to put it on. The bear is down for 90 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to suck. He left to rest in the jungle for a bit and try to farm it up. But, yeah, Slodic is actually, since he's got that Blink Dagger, there hasn't really been that much happening for him. I mean, like, he keeps getting caught up by the Storm Spirit. Storm Spirit jumps to the back, silences him, and pretty much destroys him. Nocturne, on the other hand, I just saw that Blink
DDZ so manly, all by himself, pops the BKB. He is a pretty cool guy that doesn't afraid of anything. He's going to go deep 1v3 with that Observer Ward, just scouting out that they're jungling and say, yeah, BKB 8 seconds. Elder Dragon, Blue Dragon form, no cooldown is not worth some free gold from courtesy of the Ancient Apparitions. So that's very, very nice for him. And he's going to just teleport down bottom where there's tons of cleave. Actually, Shadow Blade's in to go on Ursa. Slowed to a crawl with this Blue Dragon debuff. Gets the stun off, and that's going to be his death. He can't turn. He gets Unstable Concoction, and that's going to be a really, really easy kill for him. Mega kill streak for DDZ. Farming up creeps to 146 CS count. Man, he's just looking good right now.
Yeah, that's going to be an AC coming up pretty soon. I mean, that'll really help out. It kind of stopped. Well, Lone Druid could go for the AC, but he's quite far behind. So AC up on DDZ will really help them in to really finish this game in the next sort of 5-6 minutes. And with that with the Blue Dragon, their teamfight potential just went up tenfold. I mean, surely you're looking at teamfight potential if they had maybe changed this up and had the Alchemist as a support and maybe Sanking in the offlane. I mean, Sanking offlane 1v1 is not that terrible. I mean, with a competent Sanking player, you can do really, really, really well in the offlane. But up against the Storm Spirit might have been a little bit hard. But if they had sort of forced an aggressive and put the Sanking up against the Lone Druid, you could have had an okay time. But yeah, I mean, changing it up like this, leaving the puck out and putting him in the offlane. Offlane puck is really difficult, and it takes a player that is like better than everybody in the game to really do well as a puck, especially when you're getting zoned out the lane.
I mean, to do well, I completely agree with you. To do like really well as a puck on the offlane, it's very difficult. But to do okay, I honestly think that there was just a misplay coming out of Solodic. I feel like just if you generally play more passively, you'll get your experience. The Creequilibrium shift, it makes it so easy for any survivable hero to do it. So if you conserve your orb and you never use it aggressively, you always use it defensively, there shouldn't be any reason that they can finish you off. They didn't have a stun that lasts longer than the Illusory Orb, and I don't know, I kind of feel like he played it wrong, and although I agree that it's difficult to do well on that lane, it's not too difficult to do better than what the puck did. So I think rather than a lane issue, it was just a playstyle issue, and he wasn't really willing to commit. DDZ, BK being at the perfect time, going in for this fight here. Lance, though, a little bit too aggressive, but he has that Agency Immortal, which brings him up to full HP, full mana, and it sets them up with a bait. They kill off AA, Alchemist, and Ursa. We do see the Epicenter finally coming through DDZ, though. He just gets mech, Magic Wand, and he's back up to full, and just breathes fire all over the opposition, pursuing to kill Sanking. They get him no problem at all, and the last man standing is MyPro, who bought back. They've committed so many resources here, and they didn't get anything out of it. Now going to lose their last. That's at least a 6th consecutive kill, and that is going to be the GG here for Arrow. 24-13 in a just under 27-minute game. Very, very well played by them.
Yeah, that went well for Everlast in the beginning. Also got a lot of safe farm, but up against DDZ on an impact hero like a Storm Spirit, I mean, it was going to be downhill from the time he picked up a 9-minute Orchid Malevolence. But yeah, nothing else to say this game. Just Arrow showing that they're still a force to be reckoned with in the Southeast Asian region. And yeah, I'm looking forward to game 2. Hopefully Everlast can. I mean, they lost pretty hectically to Zephyr in their first game on Saturday, and then they brought it back to win it 2-1. So here's hoping for a miracle.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, a lot of things. One thing that they really have to make sure is that they keep their psychological aspect and to drop off what happened last game and move on to the next one. Because if you carry over that upsetness, maybe blaming one person, like the puck for feeding the storm or something like that, if you bring that to your next game and you don't just let it lie in the past, then it's just going to give you a huge funk, which is going to screw you over for the next one. And if they look to do something weird like first phase banning the Storm, then you're just going to see Lance pick up one of his other amazing carries. So I really do think that there are some issues that certainly need to be addressed, but they shouldn't go overkill on it, or suddenly they're going to just be putting themselves in a defeated mindset. So yeah. Anyways, we'll see what Everlast bring in. We've certainly seen some amazing plays from them in the past. It's not this time around, unfortunately, but yeah, let's see what comes up in this game 2. I'm expecting them to take it to a game 3, but that depends if Arrow Gaming will just budge whatsoever on how dominant they've been these past few days. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the first game of this Best of 3 series, Arrow versus Everlast in the AOC Pro Cup. Shout out to AOC, as well as Dota Talk and DevBet for the contributions to the tournament. And yeah, this is looking pretty solid for our second round here. Everlast up 1-0, going on to game 2 in just a few minutes. If you guys enjoyed the commentary, feel free to check us out as commentators over on our social medias. I'm over on twitter.com/blazecasting, and Congo's over on twitter.com/CongoKyle, as well as facebook.com/CongoZA. That's going to be it for this one here. See you guys in a few minutes in Game 2. Also, I forgot to mention, since we don't usually have him, but Captain Kirk also participated and provided us some very pleasant stats, so check him out. It's CPT Kirk for his Twitter extension, as far as I recall. See you guys on the next one.